el exec, el exec. El Vélez, el Vélez. El fenómeno que todos quieren ser. El chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to the Exec Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Velez. Episode 152 was good. What's up? Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Follow me on all my socials. Comment. Do all that good shit. You know what I'm saying? All right. So, what we're going to start with is that I was wrong about the Dolphins. And boy, I thought that for some reason that the Rams were just going to show up. You know, 1, they have a better record. 2, they have a better quarterback. 3, they've been playing well. And the defensive line was also playing well. And it's not like we had a crazy game either. We scored most of our points in the first half, kind of like the first quarter. But we picked off Stafford a couple times. There was fumbles back and forth, you know, like in the first half. And I thought that really the Rams would start coming back, start figuring it out in the second half, but it never really materialized. Zach Sealer came back. Calais Campbell was a dog. We caught a couple tips and overthrows. Got to get those, you know, for the defense. And we played a good game. We're 3-6. We're second in the division at 3-6. Not that we're going to catch Buffalo. That's not going to happen. So whoever is out there thinking that we can catch Buffalo, you guys are high as hell, okay? But what we can do, we can make it to the 7th seed. Right now, we're chasing the Broncos and Bo Nix. They're 5-5. But you know, that's who we're chasing right now for that 7th seed. We're in line with the 4-6 Colts as well. But I don't think that we're going to make the playoffs. 1, we're too far behind. And 2, I don't think we have a good enough defense. And Tua is just not in rhythm. We're not hitting big plays down the field. Look at this. Jalen Waddle. I made a bet for Jalen Waddle. It hit, not the whole bet, but the actual yards hit. The yards hit in the first drive. You know why? Because the only 2 passes this man caught and the only 3 targets that he got were in the first quarter. Tua did not look for his former teammate out of Alabama at all. You're talking about a 3-time 1,000-yard receiver. Tyreek Hill didn't look for him either. Looked for him 5 times in the game. So we're not throwing the ball how we're supposed to. We're running okay. We're kind of running the offense to Devon Achane, if I'm being honest. That's who we're running the offense through. You know, I guess that is good since we're running the ball, but at the same time, we can't. We're literally showing the inability to throw the ball down the field. So a team that with the right personnel is just going to play too high. We're not going to get shit done. All the underneath shit is going to be cooked because their linebackers are going to be playing the hook and curl in the zones, and we're not going to get shit done. And if we can't run the football with Devon Achane and he can find a crease and bust one, our defense is going to be out there on the field too much because we're going to be doing 3-and-outs or short drives, and that's how we get cooked. Usually in the second half, we get ran over, we get passed over, too tired. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, the Dolphins season is cooked. Okay? Unfortunately. The division has been cooked for 2 weeks. Okay? Once the Jets lost whatever hope they had left once they brought Devontae and nothing has gone good for them, and Hassan came back and they fired Saleh and their defense went to shit even though they have all pros all across the line, the linebackers and the secondary. But, you know, unfortunately, it's just not it's not going as planned, okay? 3-6, second in the division. We have to win I mean, and if we look at our schedule, this shit's not going to get any easier. We got the Raiders. We should beat them here in Miami. The Patriots, we should beat them, even though Drake May right now is just getting better by week. He just has no weapons. He has nobody to really throw to except Hunter Henry, and giving off the ball to Ramondre Stevenson. Jalen Polk hasn't really woken up yet. He just caught his first touchdown this past week. So we're going to get destroyed by the Packers at Lambeau. I mean, absolutely destroyed. And it's an NBC Sunday Night Football game. We're going to get murdered. Okay? We can beat the Jets at home, at our house. We can. Unless the defense really wakes up, unless like Quincy Williams and Will McDonald, and you got Sauce out there covering Tyreek, and you got Reed covering on the other side with Jalen Waddle, But I think from what I've seen, unless our defense just folds and just says Devontae and Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall just, destroy our game plan, but that's a winnable game. The Texans are going to cook us because Nico Collins will be back, so they're going to cook us alive. The 49ers are going to cook us alive in Miami. The Browns we can beat unless Jameis is throwing the ball all over the field to Jerry Jeudy, and that's it. Elijah Moore, I guess. And then we got the Jets in New York as the last game. So we can win the Browns game, the 2 Jets games. That would put us at 6-6. But then again, we're losing against the Texans, 49ers, and the Packers. So 6-9. Good season. Oh, and we beat the Raiders. So I guess 7-8. That's horrible. That's horrible. That's awful. From what we did last year, from the offense being the number one passing offense, from getting to the divisional round, from what we did last year to this year, awful. But that's what happens when Tua gets a concussion. He misses 4 weeks. There's no continuity within the offense. Our backup sucks. You know what I'm saying? Our defense is really not playing up to snuff. But as for the stats for this game, they really weren't all that either way. Like on either side, they really weren't all that. Tua went 20 for 28 for 207, 7.4 yards an attempt, a touchdown, a pick, 3 sacks, 36 yards, a QBR of 33.2, rating of 89.4. We ran the ball for 22 carries for 67 yards, a grand total of 3 yards per carry. Just awful. We threw the ball 28 times, ran it 22 times. So the run balance was okay. I mean, it wasn't egregious. This wasn't a track meet either by any means. Devon Achane went 12 carries for 37 yards, averaging 3.1 yards a carry. That's abysmal. Malik Washington, the rookie out of, I believe he's from Virginia. I believe he's a Cavalier. He got 1 carry for 18 yards. That was their touchdown. Jalen Waddle was our leading receiver. Like I said, 3 catches for 57 yards, most of that in the first drive. Jonnu Smith went 3 for 45 on 4 targets. Jalen Waddle got 6 targets. Like, this is abysmal to me. Jalen Waddle with 6 targets. Tyreek with 4 targets. If you're not getting 10 targets to these dudes, you are doing a disservice to your offense. Whether it's a screen, whether it's a bubble, a rocket, a bounce route, like, you are doing a disservice to their talent and your offense. You saw it last year. You can run literally crossing routes and mesh all game long, and you'll get more yards than what you're doing right now. Okay? I know that Tua doesn't have the arm strength. That's why I said they should have drafted Michael Penix. Too bad that the Atlanta Falcons were like, we need an insurance policy for Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles injury. So we're going to get a dude that has 3 torn ACLs and a torn shoulder. But he can throw the ball 70 yards and it's pretty accurate. So I guess that'll cover us off. They're doing better than us. So I think that we should have taken Michael Penix, maybe traded up or something. We probably didn't have any draft picks, honestly, to pick anybody. But when your second receiver gets 57 yards as your leading receiver for the game, your tight end, Jonnu Smith, is your second leading receiver, and then your backup running back, Raheem Mostert, is your third leading receiver, and then a rookie catches 1 pass for 17 yards and is going all over the number 1 NFL player ranked last year in the NFL Top 100 in Tyreek Hill, that literally caught 3 catches for 16 yards on 4 targets. He caught a touchdown. Oh, that's nice. Dude, we're talking about a dude that averages last year. He averaged like 90 yards a game, 108 yards a game, tried to go for 2,000. If he didn't get hurt, he would have done it. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is abysmal season for Tyreek Hill. Like, this is like, he's not going to be an all-pro for the first time, I think, in like 4 or 5 years where he was a first-team all-pro. You know, he's cemented as a Hall of Famer already. He has a Super Bowl ring, you know what I'm saying, everything. But, like, I thought that it was going to be a lot better than this, especially since he's been kind of threatening to retire within the next couple of years because he doesn't want to play into his 30s. So, you know, we'll see what happens there. As for our defense, well, Tua lost a fumble. Go figure. Kendall Fuller recovered a fumble. And then our defense gave us 4 sacks. We got Chop Robinson, the rookie out of Penn State. That's our first-round pick. He got a sack, so he's getting better. Once we pair him up with Jalen Phillips, I think we're going to see a nice little tandem there. We're not going to get Bradley Chubb, I think, within the next, like, couple of weeks because he's coming off of that horrible injury, the ACL. But, you know, one can hope. You know, one can hope that we get him back. But, you know, Chop Robinson and Jalen Phillips would be a nice little DN tandem there. Both speed, both got power, both kind of freakish athletes. Just they got to stay healthy. You know, we got Calais Campbell, the ageless wonder at 38 years old with a sack, also with a batted ball that led to a pick. Javon Holland came on a blitz, and he got a sack, our excellent all-pro safety. And then as a pick, we got Anthony Walker with a pick, returned it for 5 yards. As for the Rams, very disappointed in the Rams. Matthew Stafford went 32 for 46 for 293, 6.4 yards an attempt, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick, 4 sacks for 36 yards, 35.1 QBR, 77.5 passer rating. They ran the ball 18 times for 70 yards. Guys, they passed the ball 46 times to 18 carries. Okay, you talk about McVay just literally just saying, we're not going to run the ball. Even though we have a running back that can run, you know, Kyron Williams, you know, 3rd year out of Notre Dame, excellent runner. But, you know, 46 passes, this is not a track meet. This is 23-15. What are you passing the ball so much for? Like, you're just putting everything on Matthew at that point, and he wasn't even that good in this game. When you look at the passing, Puka went 9 for 98 on 14 targets. That's the type of target share that I'm talking about for Tyreek. Yeah, 9 catches for 98 yards on 14 targets. That's what he used to do last year. That's what everybody used to. That's why when you have to bet last year, Tyreek, it was over 100. And we were always like, what? We were like, 103.5 over? It was always like, it's really like, that's a lot. But that's what he was doing. This year, he's at like 78, 70, and he still doesn't hit it. So Puka was at 9 for 98. Cooper Kupp went 7 for 80 on 7 targets. I think he has to divide those targets a little bit better, 10 and 10, 10 and 12. I think that would be better. Davis Allen, some dude that came out of nowhere, I guess another Tyler Higbee, basically. The rookie, he went 5 for 34 on 6 targets. Tyler Johnson, another rookie, he went 3 for 25 on 4 targets. DeMarcus Robinson went 1 for 23 on 5 targets. Gave 5 catches with Kyron Williams on 6 targets. Matthew Stafford had 2 fumbles. He recovered both of them. Kyron lost a fumble, which led to a Miami score. Jared Verse recovered a fumble. They got 3 sacks, 1 from Kobe Turner. He was playing his ass off. Byron Young was playing pretty well. And the last, where's that last sack at? Jared Verse, the rookie out of FSU, their first-round pick, he also got a sack. Christian Rosenboom got a tip interception. But you know, they're 4-5. They're 4-5. If you go into the standings, they're 4-5. It's not looking good for them because they're 4-5, but Seattle's also 4-5. They hold the tiebreaker over Seattle because they beat them. But if you look, Arizona 6-4. This is the most competitive division right now in football. if you don't want to count the NFC North with 8-1 Detroit, 7-2 Minnesota, 6-3 Green Bay. But as in like all four teams are in, this is probably the most competitive division in football. We got 6-4 Arizona, 5-4 San Francisco, which is probably going to get better because they got C-Mac back. So that means, CMC basically unlocks their whole offense. So, expect Juwan Jennings to have big days. Expect Debo to have a big day. George Kittle, because it all runs through C-Mac. C-Mac is like a Steph Curry. He creates gravitational pull by the defense and so much attention by the defensive coordinator that it creates holes in it everywhere else. The Rams are 4-5. They're not out of it by any means. Seattle either, but if they lose again, then it'll start growing the gap. All right, so we talked about that game. Next, we're gonna talk about Roki Sasaki. An excellent, like I said last episode, the 23-year-old from Japan that throws over 100. Guess what teams are looking at this dude? Which is incredible for me to know, because like if the MLB allows this to happen, Dodgers, Padres, Mets, like we're talking about the Yankees, we're talking about the same teams that basically just dominated the league. So imagine a guy who is basically an ace, number one of one, 1.1, if you will. A guy like a Ohtani, a guy like a Yoshinobu Yamamoto, a young Yu Darvish, another Japanese star coming over, probably going to get a huge bag. And he's either going to pitch with Shohei and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, which is probably where he wants to go, or he wants to pitch probably for his idol, Yu Darvish at the Padres. I don't know why he would go to the Mets. I look at the Mets and I'm just like, young talent. You got Vientos, you got Alvarez, you got Lindor. You don't know what you're going to do with Pete Alonso. Iglesias is old at this point. You got McNeil, Nimmo, but pitching wise, they need so much help. Like you're not going to do what you did this year with the same Minaya, Quintana, Peterson. You're not doing that. You're not rolling out there going against, in the NL especially, Arizona's going to get better. The Phillies are going to retool. So like I don't think that you should, as the Mets, it's like, yeah, you want Juan Soto, but you're going to pay him $600 million, and then what? Just let Roki Sasaki slip by? Like who do you have in your system to really like elevate your pitching staff? Do you have people coming off of injury? I don't think so. So they're still feeling the effects of having Jacob deGrom for those years all injured. The Max Scherzer failed experiment. The Harvey, he fell off a cliff. Arrieta, he fell off a cliff. So like, I think that they're still feeling the effects of that. Maybe they go after a Sandy Alcantara. They go to Miami and go, hey, I know you guys like dealing good players. So can you give a Sandy? Or maybe a Yuri Perez or Jesus Luzardo? But I think that they're not going to be as good next year because everybody else will get better. But as for Roki Sasaki, I would like to see him at the Dodgers, maybe at the Padres. I think that there's not really any other teams that could really fork up the real money that he's going to command. I mean, you're talking about a 23-year-old ace that is coming off just having a 1.6, 1.8 for the last 4 years in Japan as a 19, 20, 21-year-old. So this guy is still, legit. But, I think that overall is going to be a race to who signs him. Same thing with Juan Soto. All right, so this week we have the penultimate race in Formula One in Las Vegas, the second time. Last year was the first, where they raced around the sphere. It's literally, essentially, next week. Okay, so they took 2 weeks off. So Las Vegas is next week. Interesting. That's crazy. But So basically, for Formula One, this is what you guys got to know. If Verstappen finishes above Lando, he wins his 4th championship. And if I'm being honest, like, you know, I got to congratulate the dude because, like, 2021, you know, I was pissed because I wanted Lewis to win his 8th. And it kind of, like, gave me a bad taste in my mouth about Max. But Max is a great driver. He's one of the greats. He's like an Alan Prost. He's like a Lewis. He's like a Michael Schumacher. He's like a Sebastian Vettel or Fernando Alonso, you know, or an Ayrton Senna. You know, he's just one of the greats. And for him to lock 4 in a row in the way he did it this year, where he won at the beginning of the season, went through a lull where he could have been, or sometimes he crashed, or he didn't qualify well, you know, had bumps in the road, fighting a faster car in McLaren, and more polished team this year. But to fight back the way he did at Sao Paulo and win by 19 seconds after starting 17th, like, you gotta give guys props. And if he was good job, bro. Good job. I mean, I'm a Lewis fan first, but I recognize greatness. I'm just not gonna hate the dude because the dude's just a hell of a driver. He's a kid still. He's 27 years old. Like, you know, in 41 years. So, you know, I think it's amazing for him to do that. All right. Let's get to NCAA. Okay? NCAA. Starting off with Ohio State versus Northwestern, a beatdown. We don't have to talk about that. Texas, Arkansas, a beatdown. Utah, Colorado, important game. We get it at 12 on Fox. It's in Boulder. If they win this game, they should be in line with the remaining schedule that they have, which is Utah, and I believe they have to face Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. So if they beat Utah in Boulder, they have the inside track to reach the Big 12 championship. And it would be against BYU, which are undefeated right now. So I expect Shador, Travis, Jimmy Horn to get more involved. I don't know what happened to Jimmy Horn. I know he's going to go to the next level, but I think LeJontay Wester has taken more of the target share there in the recent weeks. But I got Colorado in this one, man. Like, Colorado's an 11-point favorite. I don't like the 11 points because Colorado always starts off slow. It's 45.5 over as in total points. I might take that, but I think Colorado wins this and keeps the momentum going for the Big 12 championship and reaching the playoffs. Clemson versus Pitt, 7-2 versus 7-2, tough matchup. Clemson is a 12.5-point favorite, 53.5 over. I'm going to go Clemson. They've had stinkers, 2 of them, including the first one of the year. But I'm going to go Clemson. I think that they have momentum going and bounce back from, I believe, last week. No, they keep it going being Virginia Tech last week. Tulane versus Navy. Tulane's 25th in the nation. I got Tulane. They're 7-point favorites. Shout out to the Green Wave. Alabama Mercer. That is absolute just dog walk. Penn State. Yeah, Alabama Mercer is basically a warm-up, or not even a warm-up, just like a little test because they face Oklahoma and then face Auburn in, of course, the Iron Bowl to finish it off. Yeah, this is not even worth talking about. The 10th team ranked in the nation. They don't even have odds for it because it's going to be so lopsided. And Mercer's 9-1, but this is Bama. Penn State, Purdue. Penn State go to 9-1, keep being that number 1 team in the Big Ten, right behind Ohio State. They're at the same record right now. 8-1. They would both be 9-1. Virginia, Notre Dame go to 9-1, keeps the inside track as an independent to go to the playoffs. SMU, Boston College. SMU go to 9-1. Louisville versus Stanford. I got Louisville. 20.5-point favorites is Louisville. That's crazy. LSU, Florida. I got LSU. They're 4-point favorites though, in the swamp at 3:30. Money line is plus 155 for Florida. Lagway's hurt, so I don't think Lagway's gonna play. So it's going to be, it's saying DJ Lagway here, but those are the season leaders, not who's actually playing. But I think I got LSU, man. I mean, after the beatdown from Texas last week, I mean, we might bounce back, but I think LSU has a little bit more weapons than us on either side, especially with Perkins on the defensive side. You got Lacey on the other side. So, Missouri, South Carolina, 21 versus 23, 7-2 versus 6-3. I'm going to go Missouri. I like Missouri more. These are two like matchups for wide receivers that are going to the burden for Mizzou, and then also Simon for South Carolina. I think they're giving 69.6% winning matchup predictor to the Gamecocks, but the Gamecocks are also 13.5 point favorites are the Gamecocks against Mizzou. Okay, I'll buy it. I'll go South Carolina at home. I'll go South Carolina. Boise State, San Jose State. Boise State goes to 9-1, keeps that playoff bid alive. Arizona State, Kansas State. I'm going to go Kansas State. They're at home. Oregon versus Wisconsin. I think Oregon just rolls them. They're 14-point favorites. Tennessee, Georgia. This is a elimination game for the college football playoff. Whichever team loses is effectively out. Georgia's not even in right now. They're the first team out. So if Georgia wins, it kicks Tennessee out. Georgia's a 9.5-point favorite at home. This is it's at the Doghouse. So I don't know, man. This is Carson Beck versus Nico. I like Georgia. I just have that Carson Beck question. I like Georgia. But Tennessee's playing better football right now. And for, Georgia, 8.5-point dog. Carson Beck has thrown 12 interceptions with 17 touchdowns. Nico's throwing 11 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Better running back, I think, is Dylan Sampson at this point. You're talking about 20 touchdowns, 1,100 yards. You got Arian Smith as the wide receiver, the leading wide receiver. And then Thornton Jr. for Tennessee. Neither of them have caught a lot of balls. 20 receptions for Thornton Jr. Arian has 34. The carries are for ETN and everything, but they switch backs. They've always done that. And for pass attempts, Nico's thrown 221 passes, but he was hurt one of these games. So, 321 for Carson Beck. So he's thrown for almost double. Not double. No, I wouldn't say double, but 600 yards plus over Nico. I'm gonna go Georgia. I'm gonna go with the Georgia defense at this point. This prediction is about the Georgia defense. I'm gonna go with Georgia. Texas A&M, New Mexico State. We're going Texas A&M and the Aggies. Washington State versus New Mexico. We're going Washington State. And Kansas BYU. We're going BYU to go to 10-0 and have the inside track along with Colorado to go to the Big 12 championship. All right. Let's get to the NFL. Commanders, Eagles tonight. Zane Gonzalez is going to be kicking for the Commanders. I'm thinking I gotta get my notepad out because these are my predictions, of course. So week 11 predictions. All right, I'm going Eagles. I was thinking about the Commanders. Brian Robinson's coming back. That's going to be a big boost, but the Eagles are one of the best run defenses in the league. And when you talk about, Commanders play a lot of man-to-man, and you cannot play a lot of man-to-man against guys like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Also, Jahan Dotson's coming back home to where he got drafted, and they got rid of him. So it's definitely a revenge game. You can't stop Saquon. Jalen Hurts is playing really well. That defensive line is absolutely disgusting. The Commanders' offensive line is hurt. They got banged up everywhere. It's only Scary Terry out there against Quinyon Mitchell or Cooper DeJean, whoever covers them. So I'm going to go Eagles because the Eagles are a healthier team and they have a lot more resources to deal with the Commanders. I love Jaden Daniels. I think he might have a pretty good game, but I think the Eagles take control of the NFC East with a win there. Ravens Steelers, I'm going Ravens even though it's in Pittsburgh. Listen, I understand that you guys want to say Russell Wilson, TJ Watt, the defense. You can't deal with Derrick Henry. Point blank simple. If you want to deal with Derrick Henry, you're going to have heavy boxes, and you're going to put out there against Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, and Deontay Johnson. And Deontay Johnson's coming back to Pittsburgh to face you guys. I just don't see it. I think the Ravens are playing way better football, in my opinion. They can run the ball like hell. That Ravens defense, pass-wise, all they have to worry about is George Pickens, maybe Mike, but I think the Ravens, they're 3-point favorite on the road. So I'm going to go with the Ravens in this one, and Lamar having another MVP-like performance against his division rivals. And also take the lead in the AFC North. Jaguars, Lions, we're going Lions there. That's not even a question at all. Jones is going once again for the Jaguars. There's no hope for them in this game. I don't think so. I think Jared Goff is going to get right back on the saddle after throwing 5 picks, and they're just going to roll them. I think they're going to run all over them. Big game from Jameer and Montgomery. Rams, Patriots. This I'm going with the Rams. I think the Rams could really, the Dolphins had at least some weapons that they could use against the Rams. I think Matthew Stafford's going to get focused up. He knows he needs to win to keep up in the division. He knows that, a playoff push is up for grabs. So even though it's in Foxborough, I'm going to go with the Rams. I think Kyron Williams has a pretty big day. Christian Gonzalez has to go with either Puka or Cooper Kupp. The other side I'm not very confident about. So I'm going to go definitely with the Rams in this one. Then we go to Browns Saints, and the Browns coming off a bye. Saints coming off a win with Coach Riz. The New Orleans Saints, they're at home. They're 1-point favorites. I'm going to go with the Saints, although I know that Cleveland defense is very, very stingy, and the Saints don't have, it's literally MVS, nobody else. Browns do have Nick Chubb. This is a tough game, pretty toss-up, but I'm going to go with the Saints at home with the Coach Riz boost. I think Derek Carr has a big game, big-ish. He doesn't have any. He has John Johnson, MVS. No Rashid Shaheed, no Chris Olave. Has to throw Tipton. So it's going to be tough, but I think Alvin Kamara has a okay game, especially in the passing game. And I think Jameis just doesn't do enough, even with the defense playing well. So I'm going to go Saints there at home in the Superdome. Colts, Jets, AR starting again. That's another big news that we didn't have on Tuesday. On Tuesday, Joe Flacco was still the starter. As of yesterday, AR is now starting, and I'm guessing he's starting for the rest of the year. What that adds a little level of a dynamism to that offense, and the deep balls there as well. The Jets desperately need a win. They're at home in New York. This is the last. Let me look at their schedule because, if I pick them, I mean, yeah, they have the Seahawks after this, then they have the Dolphins, then they got Jaguars that could be a win. They have the Rams, Bills, Dolphins again. I'm going to pick the Jets here. I'm going to pick the Jets. Although that Indy defense is good, but I'm going to pick the Jets. I think Breece Hall has a good game. I think Devontae and Garrett Wilson have a game. This is the last time I'm picking the Jets, though. I cannot, unless they face the Jaguars, of course, but I cannot. Like, I can't. Like, even now, looking at it, like, I'm kind of feeling the Colts a little bit with a rejuvenated AR coming off two sits after he tapped out. But, man, I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers for one last time. I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers. If they lose this one, it's over right now, but, like, it is over. Vikings, I'm going Vikings to bounce back for just field performance. I expect Justin Jefferson to have a game. The Vikings just don't have enough offense. They just have Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard. They don't have enough to deal with that Vikings offense, and that defense plays really well. Brian Flores likes to dial it up. Raiders, Dolphins. I'm going Dolphins. I feel like we got back on track. I think that we can open up the offense against these dudes. The only guy I expect to have a big game is maybe Jacoby Myers or Brock Bowers. Other than that, it's Gardner Minshew, so you don't have to worry about nothing crazy at the quarterback position. It's in Miami, so I'm going to go Dolphins there. Packers, Bears, we're going Packers here coming off the bye, really trying to catch up to the Lions. So I'm going to go with the Packers there. I just think the Bears are in disarray, even with the new Shane Waldron got fired. They put a new guy in, but he was under Shane Waldron. So how much difference is there? Not a lot. I don't think so. I don't think he's going to fix that offense right away. So I'm going to go Packers, even though it's in Chicago. Falcons, Broncos, interesting matchup. Falcons have the better offense. Broncos have the better coach and the better defense. 4-5 versus 6-4 versus 4-5. Falcons coming off that bad loss against the Saints. Broncos coming off that devastating loss against the Chiefs on the blocked field goal. It's in Denver. Denver's 2.5-point favorites. I believe Denver could run the ball on this team with Javonte Williams. But then again, the Broncos have to stop Bijan, Pat Surtain. I'm going to go Broncos here. I just think that defense is really, really good. Granted, they're facing a really good offensive line in the Falcons. Quarterback-wise, I like Kirk Cousins more, but Bo Nix have been showing me a lot of good stuff. The only thing I'm worried about is that Bo Nix has to face Jesse Bates, A.J. Terrell, and Justin Simmons with only Cortland Sutton. I don't think that he's gotten a rapport with Troy Franklin yet, with his former Oregon teammate. So that's the only thing I worry about. Man, I think the Falcons are going to go for the win, though, because they have to. They need to win in order to secure a higher seed and not just get the 4th seed in the NFC. Man, that's tough. But the Broncos have Sean Payton. Bo Nix has been playing pretty well. I'm going to go with the weapons. I'm going to go with the Falcons. I just think that they have too much weapons compared to the Denver Broncos right now. So I'm going to go with the Falcons on the road to beat the Broncos. Seahawks 49ers, I'm going Niners. It's in Santa Clara. CMC is back at full health. He's going to get more touches this time. So I'm going to go Niners. I feel confident about that. I think Juwan Jennings is going to have a nice day. Debo, Kittle possibly. Their offense is, like I said, it's just going to open up. They're 6.5-point favorites. It's a bit, but, Seahawks coming off the bye. I think 49ers want to really win this division, and they have to chase down the Arizona Cardinals. So I think the Niners got this. Chiefs, Bills. Oh, man, 9-0 versus 8-2 in New York. The last 3 meetings in the regular season, Bills are 3-0 versus the Chiefs, 0-3 in the postseason. Buffalo's 2.5 favorites at home. But for my liking, the better defense is the Chiefs. The better situational team is the Chiefs. Better quarterback is with the Chiefs. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs, okay? Better coaches with the Chiefs as well. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Until they show cracks in the armor last week, that was a really good defense. Until they show real cracks in the armor, they're 1 week away or 2 weeks away from Pacheco coming back. So they're going to have Kareem Hunt and Pacheco. They have to get Xavier Worthy involved more. I thought that at this point in the season, he would really be part of the offense, but we'll see. I like the Bills, but until they could be 3-0 in the regular season, but the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. They're 9-0, and I know Andy Reid's going to have these boys buzzing. So is Pat. Bengals, Chargers. Huge game for the Bengals. Chargers can keep up with the Chiefs essentially for the first wild card spot for that 6-7 spot because they're above the Broncos right now at 6-3. If they get to 7-3 and somebody falls, let's say, Broncos fall, or looking at who else is up there, Steelers 7-3, 7-3. So the Chargers are going to be they're 1.5-point favorites. So this is basically a toss up. Don't know if T. Higgins is going to play. We still don't know that. That would change, in my opinion, where I would go. T. Higgins, questionable. He is slated to come back. Higgins' quadricep remain limited at practice. Let's see here. News. Bengals, Higgins doubt. Oh, that was 8 days ago. I think he's playing. I think he's finally playing with the quad. I'm gonna go Bengals here. I'm gonna go Bengals. I like Hendrickson on their defense. They have more explosion than the Chargers right now. It's gonna be Harbaugh's gonna try to harbor it up, but I think Joe Burrow is gonna try to find Jamar and T, and I'm gonna go Bengals here. I'm gonna go Bengals as the underdog by 1.5 in SoFi. And then Monday, Texans, Cowboys. We're going Texans. Cowboys have no chance in hell. They have Cooper Rush, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Parsons. That's about it. Texans are going to get back Nico Collins for sure. He's playing for sure, because he was a game-time decision last week. So Nico Collins is going to play for sure. Let me just make sure. Collins' hamstring was limited participant at practice. News. Let's see. That was last week. Yeah, I think Collins is playing. So I'm gonna go Houston in Dallas. They need to win to keep up in the AFC South. to keep being like the best in the AFC South and also not be the fourth ranked team in the conference when they win the division. So, and they need to get confidence back from losing 3 in a row at this point. I think they've lost. They lost the Lions. They lost to the Jets. No, they've lost 2 in a row. So they're going to get back on the saddle, beat the lowly Dallas Cowboys that announced Rico Dowdle will be taking full-time duties at running back. I think it's a good move. It's better than Ezekiel Elliott. So I'm going Texans. If we look at the standings, Buffalo, like I said, basically cinched up the AFC East. Pittsburgh and Baltimore are battling this week, as it's going to go a long way to decide the AFC North. Houston has a 2-game lead on, or 2 or 4-game lead on Indy. So they basically have the division in control, but they have to win. They have to keep winning to not only keep the division, but to not be the fourth team of the division winners. KC versus Chargers are 6-3. Denver's 5-5. KC's 9-0. 2 more wins. I think they pretty much have the division intact. Even now, I'm pretty confident in saying that they have the division intact. But I think 1 more win for sure just kind of clinches that. The NFC's different. Philadelphia and Washington face each other tonight for the lead in the division. Eagles have the lead right now. If Washington wins today, they retake the lead because it would be 5 in the division. They would go to 3-0 in the division. If Philly wins, they go to 3-0 in the division, take a commanding lead in the division. Dallas is not close. Neither is Giants. In the NFC North, you got Detroit at 8-1. You have Minnesota at 7-2, and Green Bay at 6-3. Chicago's at 4-5, but they're losing ground and quick. So Green Bay has to win, get to 7-3. Hope that Minnesota loses, get to 7-3. Tie them for probably the number 1 wild card spot with Washington or Eagles, whoever loses tonight. And then 8-1 Detroit, if they keep winning, I think 2 more wins basically. If Minnesota slips at all, it creates too big of a gap to come back from because Detroit's that good. So Detroit is slowly but surely clinching that division. Atlanta at 6-4, Tampa Bay at 4-6. Tampa Bay can get close, but like without Mike Evans, without Chris Godwin, I think it's going to be tough. Atlanta has to keep winning though, because if they keep slipping, Tampa Bay will be on their heels. Tampa's lost 4 in a row though, so they're going to try to get back off the schneid after this bye week because they don't play this week. And then you got Arizona, the most competitive division in football, 6-4, 5-4, 4-5, and 4-5. Seattle has to win. The Rams have to win. San Francisco has to win because if they win, they tie Arizona on their bye week at 6-4, and then moving forward, they have a battle for the rest of the division for the rest of the season. So that is that. Yeah, let's look at the stats real quick. Lamar is pretty dominant, but the leading passer in the league is Joe Burrow at 2,672. Lamar's at 2,669. Kirk Cousins at 2,634. Geno is at 2,560, and Baker's at 2,505. Rushing leaders, Derrick Henry's at 1,120. Saquon's at 991. Chuba Hubbard 818. That's interesting. Josh Jacobs at 762, and Bijan's at 748. Receiving, Jamar's at 981. Justin Jefferson right behind him at 831. Terry McLaurin at 711. Garrett Wilson at 704. Zay Flowers at 688. Defensive leaders, Zaire Franklin's already over 100 tackles. He's at 105. What's his guy's name? Buda Baker, as a safety, which is insane, is at 100 tackles. Nick Cross for Indy's at 98. Roquan is at 97. And I believe his name is Jamin Sherwood is leading the Jets in tackles, 97. Sacks, Trey Hendrickson for Cincinnati's at 11. Dexter Lawrence is at 9, which is incredible from the nose tackle. Dante Fowler, interesting, the former Gator, 8.5. Will McDonald, 8. and Aiden Hutchinson still in the top 5 after suffering the big injury at 7.5. And then interception, Xavier McKinney's at 6. Kirby Joseph is at 6. Marlon Humphrey's at 4. Byron Murphy's at 4. And Jalen McCullough? Yeah, Jalen McCullough for the Rams is at 4. Those are the stats as of right now. Now, let's get to the NBA. NBA Cup kicked off. Boston lost to Atlanta in the first day NBA Cup game. If we look at the standings, Cleveland's at 13-0. Boston's at 10-3. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Orlando's 7-6 without also third in the East. New York is starting to get their groove back. They're at 5-6. Indiana's playing well, especially with Benedict Mathurin, combining him with Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner, Jarris Walker. They're playing pretty well. They're at 5-6. Chicago's at 5-7 with Veen and Kobe White. Atlanta's at 5-7. Reese Shea's playing pretty well. They don't have Trae Young right now. He's a little bit dinged up. Brooklyn's still at 8 at 5-7, still playing scrappy ball. Miami's at 4-6. We lost to the Pistons in the first NBA Cup game because Spo didn't know that he didn't have timeouts. It was a 121-121. He tried to call timeout after Detroit tied it with 1 second left. Unfortunately, we didn't have timeouts. That's technical. They hit the free throw. We lose. Detroit's at 5-8 at 10th spot. Charlotte's at 4-7. Milwaukee's at 4-8. Slowly picking it back up. They've won 2 in a row. We'll see if they can keep it going. That's without Damian Lillard with the concussion. Washington's at 28. Philly's still at 29, even with George. Embiid didn't play well, so we'll see what happens moving forward. And Toronto, with Grady Dick playing pretty well, is at 2-10. They suck because they're young. In the West, you got 10-2 OKC number 1. You got Golden State 9-2. They just beat Dallas. Steph Curry, 24-second, left 3, night. When Clay came back with the celebration, Clay coming back, they gave him a tribute video. 400 employees were wearing captain's hats. The whole crowd was wearing captain hats and everything like that, but Golden State pulled it out. DeAnthony Melton sprained his ACL, so we'll see how that affects the rotation that Steve Kerr was running. Phoenix is at 9-3. Denver's at 7-3, so they picked up again. They're playing well. Brown is playing well. Julian Strother's playing well, and then Dean Joker. Jamal is playing well, but he's not really going out there yet. I would like to see that. Houston 8-4. Jalen Green is playing good. Sengun, Amen Thompson. I want to see more Ken Whitmore. I want to see more Reed Shepard. Tari Eason is being an absolute double machine. They're playing great defense, top 5 in defense. They've won 3 in a row. Looks like a really good young team under Ime Udoka, a defensive head coach. Lakers at 7-4. They recovered a little bit from the little slide that they had. They're 6-4 in the last 10, won 3 in a row. LeBron's playing great. So is AD. Austin Reeves is playing well. Connect. JJ Redick's doing a pretty good job. Memphis without Ja for the last 2-3 games. 7-5. 6-4 in the last 10. Edie playing well. Some Junior's playing well. Jalen Wells, their second round rookies, playing well. So Luke Kennard is shooting the shit out of the ball. So they're playing pretty well. Sack is 7-5. DeMar's playing well. So is De'Aaron Fox. So De'Aaron and DeMar got hurt yesterday. So we'll see what happens with that. So Sabonis playing well. Clippers recovered a little bit. 6-6. They're a scrappy team. Powell's playing great. Zubac's playing great. Derrick Jones Jr. is playing well. James Harden is passing the ball, but he's not hitting from 3. San Antonio just coming off Victor Wembanyama 50-piece for the first time in his career and 8 threes. They're 6-6. They're 5-5 in their last 10. 1-2 in a row. Looks like starting to find continuity. Devasell came back. Stephon Castle's finally starting, the rookie out of UConn. So I like how the team is coming together. Pop suffered a stroke, so he's going to be out an indefinite amount of time. Shout out to Pop. But they're doing pretty well. Minnesota 6-6, still trying to figure out. Play with Julius Randle, starting to put Dillingham in the rotation, which I like. Nas Reed is playing his ass off. Anthony Edwards kind of up and down. He has a good game, then he has a so-so game. So he's trying to still find his level, leading the league in 3 points right now. Julius Randle just trying to find his way. Playing pretty good defense. Just lost back games to Portland though. That's tough. Especially one of them was the NBA Cup game. So that's tough. Dallas is falling a little bit, 5-6. They lost 3 in a row. Lewis playing inefficient. He's playing well. He's playing inefficient, especially from 3. Kyrie's playing great. Clay's playing great, but they just can't get it together on the offensive end because Luka is being efficient. So once Luka starts being back to himself, because they're playing good defense with Derek Live and Gafford. So once they start hitting threes again, especially Luka, they should be better. Portland's 5-8. They won 2 in a row, 2 against Minnesota. Shane Sharp is looking like the star we thought we would see. He only won, but he dropped 33 yesterday. Smooth game, hyper athletic, super good. With Anthony Simons out at the moment, can take control of the offense. Scoot playing well, facilitating. I think he should get more in his scoring bag. But they're playing pretty well. Tumani Kamara and Danny Advia, they're playing well. New Orleans hurt beyond measure. Zion's out. Alvarado's out. They got Trey back. Jones is still out, so they got their whole team still out. CJ's out, and then you lost 2-8. They're just young and just trying to win, just like Toronto. As for the stats, as of right now, Giannis is at 33.3 points per game. He's being Giannis. Hopefully, they start winning now. Anthony Davis at 30.2, but he got hurt. But he played yesterday, so I think he should be fine. Jason Tatum's at 30.2. He's playing great. Can't knock him. Be playing good. LaMelo, 29.9, almost 30 points a game. He's playing the ball well. He's playing well. Brandon Miller, assisting well. Nikola Jokic at 29.7. If we were complete leaders, right under Luka at 20.5. Not really his real numbers. He's supposed to be at 31, 32. Alexander, same thing. He's 27.9 after win because they have a little more sharing of basketball. It's not on him. Maybe Chet now out. He's back to the 30-point threshold. Anthony Edwards at 27.8. I thought he was going to get at 30. Maybe he gets there. Still early. I think he will get there, but, he has to develop a little bit more consistency. Kevin Durant's at 27.6. It's AD. Clinton Towns, 26.5. The guy that's really surprising me is Jalen Brunson. He's not playing at the level he was last year. Stephen Curry's at 23.9 because he's not playing super minutes. He's playing like 29.1 minutes. And before that, he played 30 minutes yesterday. He was actually like 25 minutes a game. They're winning. They're playing a 10-man lineup, so they're winning. Jalen Brunson's at 24.3. Not really what we expected. He was at 27 last year, so we'll see him bump up that. Hopefully, Braun's still at 24.3. Tyler Hero's at 24.9, had a couple 30 balls. Damian Lillard's at 26. Kyrie Irving's at 25.2. Norland Powell is at 24.9. Cam Thomas at 23.8. Kate Cunningham's at 23.8. Donovan Mitch, 23.6, a low, but they're defeated, so it doesn't really matter. Victor at 22.3 after that 50-point explosion. That makes sense. As for assist leaders, we got Nikola Jokic at 11.7 a game. Trae Young is at 11.5. LeBron at 9.4. James Harden's at 8.8, so he is assisting. He's just efficient shooting the ball. Chris Paul's at 8.6. So at 38 years old is incredible. 3-pointers made the ball 4.9 a game. Anthony Edwards 4.8 a game. Tyler Hero 4.6 a game. Jason Tatum 4.2 a game. Steph Curry at 4 a game. Defensive leaders, you got rebounds with Jokic at 13.7 a game. Insane. Bones at 12.6. Insane. You got Zubac at 12.3. Crazy. Anthony Towns grabbing 12.2 boards a game. Giannis at 12.1. So the board getters are getting boards for sure. Blocks, Victor's at almost 4. He's at 3.8 a game. Walker Kessler's a whole under 0.8. Chet Holmgren at 2.6, but he's hurt. Brook Lopez at 2.4. And Alex the rookie's at 2.3, which is what they thought they would get. And then Dyson Daniels at 3.6 in steals. Jordan Poole at 2.3. J-Dub is at 2.1. And Tari Eason just started getting real minutes, 1.8. Stephen Curry is at 1.8. That is it for the NBA. More NBA Cup action tomorrow. Excited for this game tonight. It's going to be exciting. Commanders Eagles. I think it's going to be high scoring. I got the Eagles, but if the Commanders win, 1, I'll be happy, and 2, it would have surprised me because Jay Daniels is that good. So if he does pull it out or they scheme it up, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think that with Saquon, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, that offensive line, the defense, the corners, I think that the